Hello and welcome to Inside Rugby. My name is Mark. I'm the Kiwi rugby fan guy living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about that amazing Pool C game that's coming up this Sunday between Wales and Australia. What a crucial game this is, and I'm going to preview that game right now in this video. Hello everyone, and I hope it's a beautiful day no matter where you are in the world today. And isn't this Rugby World Cup just going to the next level? We've got another amazing weekend of games coming up. Starting today, I'm just about to go and watch Argentina and Samoa. That's going to be a blockbuster as well. But before I get there, I wanted to make a video on the game coming up on Sunday between Wales and Australia. The teams have been announced. I want to talk about the teams, but I also want to talk about how I think this game is going to unfold. Now, if we have a look at Pool C, it's a very tight affair at the moment. We've got Wales in first place with 10 points. Then we've got Fiji and Australia on 6 points. Georgia and Portugal, who are playing each other on Saturday this weekend, are both on 0 points. So one of those teams are finally going to get their first points in this year's Rugby World Cup, or maybe both of them will if one of them can get a losing bonus point. So it's going to be a really crucial game for Australia and Wales this weekend, more so for Australia, of course. And Eddie Jones under the pump yet again. We've been saying that every game that he's been in charge of this Wallaby team. And I'm reading across a lot of media now and reading in a lot of comments on rugby channels that you, the viewers, are getting a little bit sick and tired of Eddie Jones and his comments, and actually wanting him and Australia to lose this game on Sunday. So let's have a look at the teams and how they're going to stack up. There's been some interesting selections, I think. Now let's start off looking at Australia, and in the forwards we've got Bell, Parecki and Slipper, and probably Australia's in-form front row for this game. Angus Bell hasn't really shown that tremendous form that he was in during the Rugby Championship. I really rate this guy. I think he's a really good player. And I don't think James Slipper is playing at the level that he was once before. Dave Parecki has been pretty good. He stepped up on a couple of occasions in this Rugby World Cup. So Australia, a good front row. Then we've got the locks, Nick Frost and Richie Arnold. I was really disappointed in Richie Arnold's performance in their last game against Fiji. He did a couple of silly things in open play that cost Australia a couple of penalties. So I'm sure Eddie Jones would have got up him for that. And hopefully we see a more disciplined Richie Arnold in this particular team. He'll be partnering Nick Frost in the locking position. And then having a look at Australia's flanks for this game, we've got Leota and we've got Tom Hooper. A little bit of a surprise for me. Fraser McWright's not in the starting 15 for this game, and Leota usually comes off the bench. So Eddie Jones just playing around with his back three there. So Tom Hooper getting another start for the Wallabies, and Rob Valentini in at number 8. I think he needs to pick up his game as well. There's been lots of big talk about Valentini and how he's been big in these games. I haven't seen that yet. I want to see a bit more out of him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes against Wales. And then having a look at the backs for Australia, we've got Tate McDermott at number 9, who's pretty much cemented that spot as the starting 9 for Australia. And then at number 10, this is the change that I had anticipated in my video. If you'd watched it after the Fiji game, I talked about Carter Gordon. I haven't liked the guy since he came into the team. I just think he hasn't got the experience needed for this Rugby World Cup. So Ben Donaldson's been given a run in this game at number 10 as the starting number 10. And I think that's a smart move from Eddie Jones. Ben Donaldson's probably one of the in-form players in the Australian backline. And I've been pretty impressed with him in a couple of occasions playing at fullback, particularly in that Georgia game. So if he brings that kind of form into this game against Wales, I think that's going to do Australia a lot of good, because I think the Australian backline can be extremely effective against this Wales team. And I think that's where Australia might be able to win this game. So a good selection as far as I'm concerned, bringing Ben Donaldson into fly half. And we'll just have to see how he goes. But I expect his kicking to be better than Carter Gordon, and I'm also expecting to see his distribution to the backs and getting those outside backs of Karevi and Pattaya to be running on different angles of attack, and I think that's something that Ben Donaldson's going to bring to this game for Australia. So then looking at the centres, I just mentioned them, of course, Samu Kerevi and Pattaya now cementing themselves in that midfield for Australia. Two really good players. We haven't seen the best of them at this year's Rugby World Cup. Hopefully with Ben Donaldson inside them in this game, we're going to see more of their impact and effectiveness as well. And then having a look at the Australian back three, and on one wing we have Marika Koriembeti. You'll know if you watch my videos, I really like this guy. He's a fantastic player. We haven't seen the best of him either at this year's Rugby World Cup yet, so let's hope he brings its A game to this game against Wales in the weekend. Then on the other wing we have the speedster in Mark Nawa Konita Wasi, and Marky Mark is an absolute superstar in the making. We just haven't seen it again at this year's Rugby World Cup. We need to get him more into the play for Australia and to show his pace and skill, because he's got a ton of it. And I think this is where Australia's been doing themselves a lot of injustice so far in this World Cup. They haven't been using the weapons that they've got, and I think in these two wingers, in Koriembeti and Marky Mark, they've got the talent and the ability out there. They just need to get these guys more into the game, so let's hope Australia is able to do that this weekend. And then at the back we've got Andrew Callaway coming back in to replace Ben Donaldson, who's moved into the number 10 position. So Callaway, if anything, solid at the back and should be able to do the job for Australia. So there's the run on 15 for Australia for this game on Sunday. I like it. I think the back line has the potential to really get through this Welsh defence, and Ben Donaldson's going to be the key here. So if he's able to get this Australian back line going, I think they have more potential dangerous ability in their back line than Wales do, and I think they can score more tries than Wales. So then looking at the Wallabies bench for the backs, they're bringing on White, Gordon and Vinavalu, and yeah, we'll have to see how Carter Gordon comes on and plays off the bench. Nick White's going to do his usual thing. Let's hope it's not too much kicking, because he needs to get these backs underway with Ben Donaldson. Vinavalu can be a game winner, and we've seen him play a pretty good World Cup. I really liked the way that he played against Georgia. I thought he was good attacking, looking for the ball as well, getting hungry, and I think that's what some of these other Wallabies players need to do. Looking at the Wallabies in the forwards, in the reserves, we've got Fazla, Shoop, Fama Masuli, Phillip and Mick Wright. So a pretty strong bench there for the Wallabies, but I think this game is going to be won and lost by the starting 15. If Australia can get some good points on in the first half, take this game to Wales, use their outside backs to score tries, then I think Australia has a chance of rolling Wales. We haven't seen anywhere near the potential of this Australian team at this year's Rugby World Cup. Looks good on paper, but they haven't been able to execute on the field. And of course Eddie Jones is putting his hand up and saying it's all my fault. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on Sunday, but I think if Australia do and can play to their potential in this game, then they've got Wales beaten by 10 points, I think. But now let's have a look at Wales, because I think Wales have a good chance as well. Now I guess with that win over Fiji, this puts Warren Gatland in a little bit of position of confidence with this team selection. And looking through the selection for Wales, I say it's a good combination of youth and experience. You've got players there that have had over 50 caps, and you've got new guys that are coming in as well. And you've got potential in the back lines to score tries, particularly on the wings and coming off the bench with Rio Dyer. So let's have a look in the forwards. First of all, for Wales, you've got the front row of Thomas, Elias and Francis going up against that Australian front row. I would give this one to Australia if they play to their potential. Then looking at the Welsh locks, we've got Rowlands and Beard, two big guys there, and again set piece is going to be important in this game. So whether or not they can continue to win line out ball against Frost and Arnold, we'll have to wait and see. But also expect Rowlands and Beard to be hungry in the breakdown situation, getting their body position in there tight so they can get ball back for Wales in the loose. I think that's going to be a very important element of this game. So talking about winning the breakdown, we've got to look at the Wales back three for this game, and I think they've got a better back three than what Australia has in Wainwright, Jack Morgan and Faletau. Faletau's just getting back into this team after being out for a while. He's had a couple of runs now, so I expect him to go up to another level in this game against Australia. I expect this back three to be better than the Australian back three, and this could be a pivotal point in this particular game. So watch out for Wainwright, Morgan and Falatau to do the job on Australia at the breakdowns. Then looking at the Welsh halves, we have at halfback Davies and then Dan Beggar at fly half, and a good combination here. Of course, Dan Beggar is a pivotal point for the Welsh team, both in his kicking and in his distribution play. And we saw in that game against Fiji, he was very, very vocal, very upset with the Wales discipline and the things that they were doing wrong. And I've never seen him actually get that angsty in a game before, and he really let his teammates know what was going through his mind. But that was good intensity from Beggar, and it kept Wales on a track to win that particular game, even though he was subbed off. So expect Dan Beggar to lead this Welsh team around the field. He's going to have a good day with his kicking, because if it is a close game, it's going to come down to the penalties percentage rate from each of the goal kickers on each team. And we know Ben Donaldson's been kicking pretty well for Australia, so Dan Beggar's going to have a good game. So looking at the Welsh centres, we've got Tompkins and George North in there at 12 and 13. And again, good steady hands here, and they're going to have to be big in defence, because as I said, Karevi and Pataya have the potential to break open this Welsh backline. So both those two guys on the Welsh team are going to have to stand tall on defence, and watch out for the bulging Karevi coming through the middle for setting up that second phase play. That's going to be a big play by Australia, I'm sure, in this game. On attack though, Tompkins and North can do their thing. We've seen George North scoring a try in this Rugby World Cup so far, and we know he's got the pedigree to be able to do that from anywhere on the field. So looking forward to a really good performance from George North in this particular game. And then looking at the back three for Wales in this game, in the backs we've got Josh Adams, Reece Zammit, and Williams at fullback. And again, there's a lot of pace and try scoring ability here. We know how good Reece Zammit is, scoring tries from just about anywhere on the pitch. Watch out for that Dan Beggar kick pass over to Reece Zammit. That's worked quite well so far in this Rugby World Cup. And Josh Adams is just one of those guys that knows where the try line is, isn't he? So he can score a try as soon as Wales get onto an attack. And Williams is pretty solid at the back. Now just expect these guys to get a bit of high ball from Australia in the beginning of this game. I think they're going to be tested out, and Ben Donaldson's going to be putting some up and unders and also some strategic kicking in to see how this Welsh back three are going to deal with it. I think that's one of the ways that Australia's probably going to try and soften up this Welsh back line. So really good back three there for Wales, and we'll see how they go. But I think overall Australia's got the pull when it comes to backline attacking opportunities, and if they're able to get good ball in this game and distribute it well through Ben Donaldson, then Australia, I think, has the greater potential of scoring tries against this Welsh team. Looking at the Welsh reserve backs coming on in this game, we've got Rio Dyer. He's a great player. I really like him. Not sure why he's not starting this game. I think he's got a lot of speed. He's hungry for the ball, and he does some really good things with it. Anytime he gets his hand on the ball, something can happen in this Welsh team, and I don't know why coaches are leaving these types of players on the bench, but they are. Then we've got Anscombe, and we've also got Thomas Williams as well on the bench for Wales for their backline. And these guys can definitely have an impact when they come on. Probably Dyer more so. I think he's a game changer, and depending on how the game's going to be going, I think Warren Gatlin can use him as a very strategic weapon in this game in the second half. And then looking at the Welsh forwards that are going to come off the bench, we've got D, Domachowski, Thomas, Jenkins and Belsham. So a good bench also for Wales, impactful bench. Okay, let's talk about that other thing that could have a big impact on this game, and that's discipline, of course. So both teams will be wanting to keep their contingent of 15 players on the field for this game, because as soon as one of the teams gets down to 14 or even 13 men, that could cause major problems. So discipline is going to be a really big thing, and I think we might see some problems around the breakdown. So keep your eye out for that one, and let's see what happens. Let's hope no one gets carded and we have a good, clean game with all players on the field. And of course, no more injuries in this Welsh team. So let's hope no one gets carded and we have a good, clean game with all players on the field. And of course, no more injuries in this Welsh team. So let's hope no one gets carded and we have a good, clean game with all players on the field. And of course, no more injuries in this Welsh team. So let's hope no one gets carded and we have a good, clean game with all players on the field. And of course, no more injuries in this year's Rugby World Cup to any team or any players. So there we go, there's the two teams that are going to come out on Sunday to play in this Pool C game. I think it's going to be a really tight encounter. It could either be a very dour game and quite close and boring, or it could open up and we get a really big score from both teams. I think both teams' defences are a little bit iffy when it comes to protecting a lead. I think Australia are just going to tip this one, but it's going to be very, very close. So if Ben Donaldson and that experiment are putting him in at number 10, and I am calling it experiment from Eddie Jones, if that doesn't work, then I think Wales might be able to get over the top of Australia. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I can't really pick it. I'm just picking Australia because if they get this back line going, I think they can score more tries than Wales can. But let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me what players you think are going to be standouts in this game, and give me your point spread. I think it's going to be quite an interesting one. Okay, well that's it for my review of this Pool C game happening on Sunday this weekend. A big weekend again in the Rugby World Cup. Make sure you stay here with me on Inside Rugby. I'm going to be following as many games as I can, previews and reviews, and any other analysis that comes along as well. Thanks very much for watching my channel. My name's Mark from Inside Rugby here in beautiful Cancun, Mexico. I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and enjoy the rugby from the Rugby World Cup. Bye for now.